Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning and good evening everyone. So welcome to our webinar sessions for the today's topic on how to integrate SDGs in higher education curriculum.
Hello.
Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
So
How are
our
you?
speaker, yeah, fine, thank you. So our speaker is ready. I think we should start the sessions today, Dr. Mahyuddin. So let me start the sessions again. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening everyone. Okay, apa khabar semua? Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. Okay, so as what we planned this evening, we are going to discuss about very interesting topic, and I believe that all the audience also have the same interest with me and feel excited to hear from our speaker today. Okay, on the topic how to integrate sustainable development goals in higher education's curriculum. But before we start the sessions, I would like to introduce our speaker first. All right. Okay, Dr. Mahyuddin Arsat. Okay, first of all, on behalf of the organizer, so we would like actually to thank you very much, okay, for taking the time, okay, to speak to us for today's session. So thank you very much. Okay, and okay, Dr. Mahyuddin Arsat is actually Associate Fellow at the Center for Engineering Education, University Technology Malaysia, and a Senior Lecturer at the School of Education, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. So he has a doctorate degree on education for sustainable development from Aalborg University, Denmark, and postdoctoral in the same area from the Education University of Hong Kong. He is also actively involved in promoting sustainability in engineering education as well as in higher education. And recently, he published one book which is entitled A Framework to Incorporate Sustainability in Engineering Curriculum. So Dr. Mahyuddin, so how will be the flow for today's session? So we will give you about 30 minutes for you to sharing with us your insight. And then we will allocate another 30 minutes for any Q&A sessions or any discussions. So to the audience, okay, for who do, how many, okay, for we actually have okay, there is actually a remark for everyone, okay, for Q&A sessions. So we really appreciate if you have any questions later, please type on our chat sections, okay. And we also really appreciate if you can also fill up our survey form, okay, because this is very important to us as an organizer, and also that is important for you also to you will be able to download your e-certification. Okay, I think without further ado, Dr. Mahyuddin Arsat, okay, the session will be yours. So we love to hear from you. So please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Azna. Thank you all. Thank you to YouTube viewer, joining me. Together we discuss and explore how to integrate SDG in higher education curricula. So let's move on into the definition of sustainable development, before we go through SDG, we have to know what is actually SD. So according to Bradner 1987, from his report, uh, um, she defined SD as a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Meaning that um, what we're having now, we managed to buy a home, buy a car, buy a house. We managed to get a job, secure a job. We managed to spend our pleasure time with family and friends together outside. So the future generation, our kids and our grandkids, they are expecting at least the same quality of life what we're having now. So this is the definition brings brought by Bradland in the report. So meaning that sustainability has been defined as human being are the final aims and viewing sustainability in terms of human value. So without human in the center of the definition, so other elements surrounding is it doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. So human is the center or the core of sustainable development definition. So this is a very common diagram that could represent sustainability. There are three pillars, which are social pillar, environmental pillar, and economical pillar. So this pillar is actually have we call it as the intersection in the middle part, where these three pillars uh, meet each other. But you have to notice that there's a bigger part in the circle. For example, if you look at the people circle there, there's a big part of section is not intersection, doesn't overlay with the other circle like profit or planet. So that's mean this huge part of people's pillars or economic pillars or environmental pillars are opposite to each other. They are uh, they are not in the same room. So only small part in the same room. That's what we call as a sustainability, where all these three pillars is balanced. All right. So I give you some example. Nowadays, Malaysia is very eager to build a lot of structures like mega tall structures. So if we think about it, like who will benefit all this development? So is it belong to only to rich people, or is it uh, evenly distributed to the poor? So this is kind of like a trade-off. We want to have a development in terms of economy, but we don't want to lose. We don't want to uh, let the environment polluted. We don't want people lost their hope to the government. They cannot cannot buy a house or any place to live. So what I'm trying to say is sustainability is actually the intersection between these three pillars. Yeah. So if you look at in many studies, actually there are many. There's a lot of representation that that would help you to understand the concept of sustainability or sustainable development. So the one that I showed you is one example, is a Venn diagram, but you can find like concentric circles, non-concentric circle, hexagon configuration, three-legged stool, and linear dimension, just to define what is sustainable development. So let's moving on to the worldviews on sustainability. We all know that sustainable development is a very broad concept. It's a very complex concept, and there are numerous numbers of research that focus just to identify, just to define what is sustainability, what sustainability really means to us. So I found that there are three major worldview. One is anthropocentric, where the view on sustainability is centralized to human needs. So whatever we do in this world is for humans. So that's what we call as anthropocentric, right? So we develop the economy, we protect the environment, we build up our social just for the human, right? That is anthropocentric. The other worldview is ecocentric, where sustainability is accepts environment as the highest value compared to other entities like social and economy, and regard the effort to achieve sustainability can only by protecting the environment and eliminating environmental pollution. So there are numbers of study that use ecocentric worldview on sustainability, like Bartlett, 1994, Vos 2007, and Lindsay 2011. And the final one, the final worldview of sustainability is equilibrium. This is a worldview that accepts all three dimensions of sustainability, environmental, social, and economic dimension, as equal in its value, and it's very significant to global sustainability. So it's not only focused on one pillar or one dimension of sustainability, but we're talking about balance of three pillars, right? So I put down there numbers of research that use this worldview on sustainability. So for me, it is important for us as a course designer or curriculum designer to have this kind of stand. So we ask ourselves whether we are anthropocentric, ecocentric, or equilibrium. So it's up to you. So it's based on what you believe. What is sustainability do you perceive, right? So there is no wrong or right answer. It's up to you, right? For me, sustainability is a balance between three pillars. So let's move on SDG. So SDG has been around like for many years, and SDG has been out there since 2015, and there are 17 sustainable development goals. If you look at all these 17 goals, it's actually can be clustered in the either in environmental pillars or in social pillars or economic pillars. So we're talking about balance of three pillars. However, SDG highlighted the basic needs of human in this world. So we're not talking about very advanced technology, science, and everything. Yeah, we're talking about the basic needs of human. So sustainability in higher education normally caters in three parts, yeah, the three elements like operation, research, and curricula. So all these three, in the case of Malaysia, most of university has integrated sustainability in their operation. For example, in UTM, I think most of us is very familiar with the policy of no paper policy, no first single-use plastic policy, yeah, and then we also have free car day, not free car day, car free day. We're not giving car for free, yeah. So car free day, and we also have numbers of research group that focuses on sustainability or sustainable development. So this all two parts is very excellent, and is you can easily find it easily in most university, especially in Malaysia. But in curricula, we still need to be work a little bit more. we need to really, bold enough to integrate sustainability. Yeah. So that's the question, the big question, how to integrate SDG in curriculum. So I hope you can see the slides very clearly. So I propose you there are 5 dimensions to integrate SDG in curricula. There is a model, there is an orientation, approach, domain, and competencies. So this is a model. So there are 2 types of models that you can actually use, or you can characterize sustainability or SDG course. The first one is standalone model. So the standalone model where we specifically design a new course just to deliver sustainability science or deliver the knowledge about SDG to a student. And this course can be teach in different program or different discipline without any major alteration or adaptation. Yeah. And the second one is integrated model. So this is where we integrate all competency in SDG into the existing core or elective courses that we offer in our program. So I can say that these competencies actually can be either generic competency about SDG, or can be very technical, very specific to the program. So I would say it's very hard to to offer this type of course to other students from other programs. The second dimension is orientation. So you have 2 options here, whether you want to go for disciplinary orientation or interdisciplinary orientation. So it's up to you. If you have very strong collaboration, a strong network with your colleagues in university, so you can sit down together and you can craft or develop a SDG course that can be offered to several programs cross disciplines. So we call it as interdisciplinary orientation. But if you have that kind of limitation, you can introduce in your specific program into very specific disciplines. So not to worry, but I would say in my point of view, interdisciplinary orientation is the most recommended strategy or orientation for you to embark SDG in the curriculum. The third dimension is approach. We have 3 types of approach. The first one is singular approach. That's mean when you develop a course related to SDG, you highly focuses on one pillar. For example, in my case, in my university, our curriculum has been always driven by economy, science, and technology. We're talking about to produce student with certain set of skills, engineering skills or technology skills, and we also produce student with set of attributes. We're talking about interpersonal attributes, and when we analyze the curriculums, and we can see that it has been driven by economy. So I would say what we did now is singular approach. We focus so much on economic dimension or economic pillar. So we need to adding another 2 pillars like social pillars and environmental pillars to our curriculum. So that's why I propose you there is a dialectic approach where you have 2 major pillars in the curriculum, or you have consensual approach where these 3 pillars is balanced, which is very beautiful, right? The fourth dimension is the domain. So like as we know, in order to integrate or to craft learning objective, yeah, you have to identify certain set of competencies, and you also have to identify whether you want to deliver sort of like a competency that focuses on knowledge, or focus on skills, or focus on effective part, yeah, effective domain. So you have to decide it. You have to decide. So based on UNESCO 2011, they laid out that in cognitive domain, whereas the student learning to know about SDG, in psychomotor or cognitive domain is where student learning to do skill sets or skills related to SDG. And lastly, the affective domain, where the student learning to be together or learning to be. So actually, if you look at this normative dimension from the cognitive domain to the affective domain, this is like a dimension, yeah. So on the cognitive dimension, it's more systemic approach, where it's very instrumental. You can deliver the knowledge without without the student. The student can really understand the knowledge, but they do not put it on their in their heart, yeah, in their heart. So so once you go through to the line, the normative dimension from the cognitive to affective, in effective part, where the students started to value SDG, they started to think about other people. Yeah, they started to put themselves as a key, as a as a player, as a change agent towards sustainability. Yeah, so this is kind of domain that you have to think about it when you try to put, or when you try to integrate SDG. So this bring me to the last dimension, which is competency. There are 8 key competencies of sustainability. The first one is system thinking. So you can refer these 8 key competencies from a report that have been produced by UNESCO, and they have been they mention these 8 competencies, and they also explained what are these competencies are. Yeah, for example, I give you some example. Yeah, system thinking is a competency that shows ability of students to recognize and understand the relationships between the cause and effect. So it's kind of system thinking, yeah, and also help student to analyze the complex system. So that is system thinking. And we go to anticipatory competence. Anticipatory competencies is the ability to understand and to evaluate future possible, to create one's own vision on the future, what's going to happen in the future. So this is competency that helps students have the ability to see what the consequences going to be happen when they react, when they're acting, or when they develop a certain products. For example, in the case for engineering student, they normally have engineering project. So when they come up with a project proposal, so they need to think, if they design something like this, what's going to be happen in the future, who's going to be benefit with the project. So, and then normative competencies. Normative competency is where the student have the ability to value in whether in the local, for example, in context of Malaysia, for example, yeah. So we propose the student come up with the project, and then they're trying to bring the technology, the project to one particular area in Malaysia. And we know that if we bring that technology, it's going to be waste, because the student cannot value the culture, what else, the practice of that certain communities in that particular place. So this is sort of like normative competencies. So the rest of competencies is actually competencies that you can find in most of attributes offered by the university. And I think, personally, I think Malaysia should adopt this competency as a part of their attributes, student higher education student attributes. Yeah. So, and the last one is the SDG. So each of these SDG have outlined certain set of knowledge, skills, and value or attitude that they expect the future generation should have. Yeah, in order to make sure that we can achieve global sustainability. Yeah. Now, when it's come to writing learning objective, of course, this is a constructive alignment model from BICS 2004, I guess. And this is like a adaptation. So this is, I think you're familiar with this constructive alignment. We have existing curriculum objective in the middle, and then we have assessment tasks. We have teaching and learning activities, and then we have learning outcome and learning activities. And we always have to make sure that all these 5 elements are aligned, right? So when you introduce sustainability or SDG in your course, you have to make sure that it's appear, or you written it down, you write it down in your synopsis of the course. Is write it down, is in the learning objective, and you assess the skills or the competencies, and you provide learning activities that's suitable or to enable students to understand better about SDG. So this is sort of thing that you have to think about it before you offer the course to your students. Yeah, it is kind of a lot of work to do, but if you have a time, you can go and check a document prepared by UNESCO. I put down the link in the slide. You can write it down, and then you can or you can search the keyword here, education for SDGs, learning objective. You can search from Google, and you can download the document for free, and it really helps you to understand the set of competencies that they are expected for the future generations to have. So this is what they lay out in the document. Yeah. So I put down the SDG number 4 as an example. So we know that SDG number 4 is about quality education, is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So UNESCO have laid down learning objective for the students. So the first one, we can see that the learner understands the important role of education and lifelong learning opportunities for all. So this is sort of like the keyword or set of knowledge that students need to know in order to achieve SDG number 4. And we go the second learning objective. The learner knows about inequality in access to and attainment of education, particularly between girls and boys and in rural areas, and about reason for a lack of equitable access to quality education and lifelong learning opportunities. So, as I mentioned before, when we're talking about SDG, we're not talking about when we're talking about quality, is we're not talking about the usage of technology uh, in learning, in teaching and learning. We're talking about access to education. It's about basic needs of human to get access with the education. Yeah. So I give you some example just to for you to think about, like in this time where we have COVID-19. Yeah, we have restricted movement order where the student cannot go to the schools and teacher also cannot go to school, and we cannot have our normal daily teaching and learning process, right? So everyone at home, so everyone see technology as one of the opportunity to conduct teaching and learning. It's nothing wrong with that, but the question is that how about our students who do not have this kind of technology? They don't have access to internet, they don't have the technology, they live in a remote area. So in a way, and the good thing is that we still can conduct our teaching and learning, but at the same time we widen the gap, the educational gap between the poor and the rich, the people who live in the city and the people who live in the rural area. So this is sort of a thing that we have to, to enable the student to think about. Yeah. So this is not about quality, the usage of technology in education is about access, the basic access to education. So and then I show you this is the behavioral learning objective. The learner is able to facilitate and implement quality education for all. So it's this kind of set of skill the student be able to facilitate. Yeah. And then the second one is the learner is able to promote gender equality. So you can see the skill that's set by UNESCO is not very high. It's achievable and can be measured if you integrate it into your existing course that you offer in your program. And then we go to the socio-emotional learning objective. This is effective part. Yeah. So the learner is able to raise awareness. So they have self-awareness of the importance of quality education for all. So when we're talking about implementation of, we depend 100% on technology, right, to deliver teaching and learning. So are we managed to raise awareness among students to think about it? What's the impact of our action? Just focus on technology in order to deliver teaching and learning. So is there any other method that we should go to help the students that do not have access to technology or education in this time around? Yeah. And then the learner is able through participatory method to motivate and empowers others. So this is sort of a thing that we want students to have to learn about SDGs. So you as a course designer or course developer or probably program director or program owner, you can look at in the document and you can see there's a lot of set of knowledge, skills, I would say scale of competency that you can integrate into your existing programs. Yeah. So for those who are in the field of engineering or technology, you can probably, this is something related to you. So SDG number 7 is to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and clean energy for all. The first cognitive learning objective is about the learner knows about different energy resources, and I believe most of engineering program nowadays have already integrated knowledge about renewable and non-renewable energy. So I would say you are in the right track. Yeah. So it has been mentioned in SDG number 7. Yeah. And the second one, the learner knows about harmful impact of unsustainable energy. So we're not talking about the student know about it, but student can really know what is the impact of, having sustainable energy and or renewable energy, or what is the impact of, maintaining having the unsustainable energy or non-renewable energy. For the behavioral learning objective, so this is set of skill we can put in our learning objective is to apply and evaluate measures in order to increase energy efficiency, or able to compare and assess different business models and their suitability for different energy solutions. So this is sort of like a set of skills, yeah. So there's a lot of options here. So the last part is the socio-emotional learning objective. It's where the student, the learner is able to communicate the need for energy efficiency and sufficiency. This set of skill or attitude, we want students not only understand for themselves, they also manage to deliver the understanding about the efficiency of energy, the renewable and non-renewable energy to others, for them to understand too, right? And we want also the student to when they want to buy something, for example, they want to buy technology, they always have in their mind that if I buy this, what's going to happen to the environment. For example, if I buy television, right? We have a lot of varieties of televisions out there. The big one, 70 inches or 50 inch. Yeah, it's up to you. So if I buy 70-inch, and what's going to happen with my bills is going to impact to our environment, something like that. So we want students to have that sort of like a thinking and attitude, yeah, to have stand in their daily life in making decision when they face any problems or issues. Yeah, so this is sort of like a set of competency that you can find easily in the document. I think that's all for now.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mahyuddin. I think you highlight a very insightful views from you according to the topic, and you highlight about the 5 main components that the educator should take into account when we design the SDG in our curriculum. And I think we have one question, Dr. Mahyuddin, from Professor Hamdan bin Said, which is the question is, okay, among the 5, which one that should we embrace, Dr. Mahyuddin, based on your experience, or maybe based on your main thoughts? Which one that we should embrace?
Is it referred to this?
Yeah, I think this comment is referred to this one.
Okay, right. It is not.
Yes, because
Yeah, these 5 dimensions actually helps you to integrate SDG. You cannot pick one and you abandon 4. You have to pick all. For example, if you want to integrate SDG in your existing curricula, and you have to think about the model, right? So is it standalone? Is it the course that you want to offer to specific target of student, or is it something that you want to integrate into the existing courses? So it's something you have to think about it, yeah, because each of these dimension caters different part in process of integrating SDG. Yeah, I think that's would be answer my question. So there's no my most favorite dimension. So for I give you one example. Yeah, if you uh, for example, I'm teaching subject related to circuit design, for example, like circuit design or electronic circuit design. Yeah, electronic circuit design. So I want to integrate SDG in that particular course. So I was thinking, so since the the course is specifically for that one program and it's not offered to other programs, that means I have to go to integrated model, not standalone model. Standalone model is a course where you introduce a new course. So you don't want that because you already know that your course is already packed and it's exhausted with a lot numbers of courses, and then you know that if you adding one more course, you will add more burden for your students, so you will increase the credits, right? So you go for integrated model where you integrate SDG competency, whether it's number 4 or SDG number 7 or 11. You go through the document and you see which one of the composites that you think is suitable for your course, your existing course, and then you integrate it into your course as one learning objective. Yeah. So you go for integrated model. So if you want to have interdisciplinary orientation, if you have a course that offer for all students in your faculty, so you go for interdisciplinary orientation,
Okay,
right?
talking on that, Dr. Mahyuddin, about integrating the components that you mentioned just now. There is one question that for you, Doctor. So, Dr. Mahyuddin, could you share an example of sustainable competencies which you integrate within your sustainable learning activities of your course?
My
Now, okay,
I
the questions is, could you share an example of the sustainable competencies which you integrate within your sustainable learning activities of your course?
um I do have several courses that I include SDG in my existing courses. Uh, I have one in master program, but that one is specifically designed to deliver the concept of sustainability in technical and vocational education. So we're talking about I'm talking about master program. So that is a new course for SDG, just to deliver SDG. So actually it's not me who integrate the curriculum. My senior who introduced proposed the course and then introduced in the existing program as a one new program, as a one new course, and talking about SDG. And I also have my own existing course where I include SDG. I think I can share with you guys. Let me check first. Do we still have a time?
Yes, we still have time, about 15 minutes before 5. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
15 minutes for the discussions. And when I check the question, there are there are a few questions also that you need to answer, hopefully, so that we will not
Right.
let the audience
Yeah. Let me
yes.
share the document. Mm,
Mhm. Yeah, because I think when talking about the competencies, okay, you mentioned just now a list of the competencies. If you can give a very clear example, so the audience will be happy to see that example, how you actually, okay. So because we really want to see the sustainable competencies that you integrate in the course.
yes. I'm trying to share, but
Few the
I cannot.
activities that you might be share with us. So what kind of the activities? Okay, talking about actually, you mentioned just now there is the fourth component, which is domain,
Yeah,
cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. Which is number 4 is related with the number 5. Okay, if you might share one of the example how we can see the connection between this number 4 and also number 5, it will be very good, Dr. Mahyuddin.
yeah.
Yes.
So uh, this is a um, one existing course. The existing course is industry and PTV. I'm sorry if the document in Malay and you cannot understand, you cannot read it. But this is the only document that I have now. Um, so initially, the course name title is industry and PTV. So if you see that, I'm trying to introduce the SDG related topic here, which is green industri hijau. So I just introduce industri hijau dalam pendidikan teknik dan vocational. So this is for undergraduate studies. And if you can see here in the course synopsis, this is where I introduce SDG or sustainable development. You can see from here. Can you read it?
Yes, can, Doctor.
I'm afraid that the word is too small. So if you can say that kursus ini juga membincangkan inisiatif industri hijau dalam pembangunan lestari konsep dan polisi pelaksanaan industri hijau. So in this part, this is where I choose the cognitive domain. Is introduce the knowledge about green industry and the concept of sustainable development, the policy of green industry. So the first line here is a set of competencies that focuses on cognitive, cognitive domain. And then it goes down here. Strategi dan transformasi yang dibincangkan termasuklah dari aspek pembangunan insan, kapasiti dan juga fasiliti. So these three aspect is very important aspect for sustainable development when we're talking about transformation from the conventional industry to green industry. We need to have these three major aspect: the capital development and facility. Yeah. So this is also sort of a knowledge that I want the student to know about SDG. And then if you go through here, yeah, in the CLO here, yep, membuat perkaitan definisi dan konsep industri hijau, kemajuan hijau dan inovasi dalam pembangunan lestari terhadap PTV. So initially in this, there's nothing to do with the green industry and SD in the previous course learning outcome and learning objective. Yeah. So I introduced some knowledge related to SDG or SD as a part of the learning.
Okay, right. Thank you, Dr. Mahyuddin. Okay, just now, yes, you encourage us actually when we design the course, try to be not a standalone SDG course. However, there is a question, Dr. Mahyuddin, from one of our audience. This question is coming from Associate Professor Dr. Rashida Fanki Olan Rewaju. So her question is, okay, with EAC having limitations on number or credit hours for students, can we still create a standalone SDG course? Okay, so he would like to get confirmation. So because you are actually encourage us to actually try to avoid as a standalone. So however, there is a challenges. Okay. With our EAC procedure, do we are allowed to to have a standalone SDG course. I think
Yeah, yeah. As I mentioned before, yeah. If we look at our current curriculum, it's already packed and it's exhausted with the numbers of courses. Right? We have the core university courses, we have discipline courses, we have elective courses, and then there's a lot of new courses that the university want us to integrate in our existing course in our program. So it doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't make sense for you guys to introduce new standalone SDG course unless you want to replace with uh, other non SDG courses. So I think that's possible. If you don't have the liberty, yeah, to make like a lot of changes in your current program, I don't think so that's possible. So you go for integrated model. You make some improvement. I would say I call it as an improvement by introducing SDG competencies. Yeah. If I may, I would like to share with you guys the document that I mentioned about that has been prepared by UNESCO. Do we have time for that?
Okay. The question is for the for the apa tu, Dr. Rashida. Okay. Okay, Dr. Mahyuddin, there is one question also. Okay, when you're designing your learning objective together with your learning activities, okay, do you give any specific scenario, okay, to embrace the SDG? So, yeah, if you have an example, so we are happy that if you can share. Okay.
All right.
So when you try to embrace the SDG, is there any scenario? Is there any specific scenario that you always use? That you always use in the class?
Oh, scenario.
Scenario, yeah.
Yeah. There's a numbers of studies that related that looking the possible or the appropriate teaching methods in order to introduce SDG or to make sure that the students are able to learn SDG very well. So you can go for active learning environment, for example, like problem-based learning or project-based learning. Yeah, because we know that SDG is very complex. Yeah, if you craft your own situation that is not realistic enough, so the soul is not there. I mean, the student cannot really understand the concept of SDG, and they don't really see the relation between themselves and the problems that you or the project that you introduce. So make sure if you if you want to introduce SDG, you go for active learning teaching strategy like problem-based learning or project-based learning. I do have normally me and my teaching partners when we in the beginning of the class we have one course where we ask students to present authentic problems that happen in their schools related to teaching and learning process in the classroom, right? So that is authentic problem. So and then they need to identify the problem. They have to define the problem into three major aspects in terms of economy, in terms of environment, and in terms of social. Of course, the problems focuses on the social aspect where the student have problems in learning process, right? But there is a other dimension that we can ask students to look at into. So what is the root cause of the problem? Why it is happened? So normally the problem will always go to the the difficulty of students to access to the education, difficulty of student access to the technology that has been used by the teachers in the classroom. So something like that. So there's a dimensions that we can ask for students to look at in order to define a problem. So normally, personally, what I did is actually introduce a problem, ask students to think about their experience as a teacher in the school. So what they have experienced, what the problem, what the issues that happen now in the school. So, and then they have to find out the root cause of the problem. So when they go along the process, they have to look at different dimension, yeah, which is including the environment, the social aspect, and the economic aspect. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Dr. Mahyuddin, we have 5 minutes more only. Okay, I think we will allow only last 2 questions if you can answer. Okay, there is one question, very direct questions from the Iron Lady. So she asked about it is, since you are also from the Tibet background, is it possible to integrate educational technology in design the curriculum for Tibet?
Education technology?
Yeah, it is possible to integrate educational technology. So I think you mentioned just now about the educational technology in one of our SDG among the 17 in design the curriculum for TVET.
I think it is possible. I think, and it has been there like for many years. If you look at the TVET program, we have introduced a lot of courses related to educational technology. But of course, you can combine together educational technology with SDG and integrated all these competency into your existing program. So it's possible.
Okay, and one last question, Doctor, is about entrepreneurship. It's a very interesting question, actually, Dr. Mahyuddin. Okay, if I can read the questions for you, Doctor. Okay, entrepreneurship course has been offered. Okay, this question is coming actually from Chi Lat C. Okay, Miss or Mr. I'm sorry, I'm very bad about this one. Dr. Mahyuddin, you might help me. She or he? I'm very sorry, Chi Lat C. Okay. All right. So the question is, Dr. Mahyuddin, entrepreneurship course has been offered in many undergraduate programs across IPTA and IPTS with the objective to create more entrepreneurs and help in the employability. Okay. So is this entrepreneurship course considered as a SDG course?
Yes, it is. My answer is
okay.
yes.
Why you have that opinion? Okay. Making business is SDG. Okay. So why business is SDG, Dr. Mahyuddin?
Entrepreneurship skills is a skills that we know helps the learners not only to acquire a job, but it also helps students to create a job, right? So basically, this set of skills is very important, especially in this perspective of SDG, where we want to make sure that the future generation have the same quality of life what we're having now, right? So we're thinking about, for example, like a job that exists now, but probably in the future there's no longer there. So we want have a student that have the attributes that be able to create a job in the future. So just to make sure them that can live happily, peacefully in the future. So I would say I consider myself, and if you go through the document, you can see very clearly that they mention about entrepreneurial skill as a part of the SDG.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's a Mr. Dr. Mahyuddin. So hopefully Mr. just now who's asking. Yeah, Mr. Chi is satisfied with the answer. So yeah, we are talking like IKEA. Definitely that is SDG business. Huh? Dr. Mahyuddin?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we're talking about the entrepreneurship still, so we have to check what are the elements of the business. Then finally we can actually, okay, declare that the business is SDG course or not. Okay, okay. Can we have a one last questions? I think because since it's already appear on the screen, the last questions. Okay, from Che or maybe Puan Sharifah Yusof. Okay, the question is, emotional intelligence plays a part in embracing sustainable development thinking in life. So how can this be embedded in higher education institutions operationally and academically? So the question is about emotional intelligence.
Yeah, this
So
is
it's
really
also
hard
plays
one.
an
Yeah.
important role when talking about the SD thinking. Talking
Yeah,
about
this is
the
really hard one. Yeah. So and then we're talking about attribute, yeah, attribute and competencies. Yeah, we want student have this system thinking or sustainability thinking all the time, right? When they go out there in the workplace or they go out to do some shopping, they have this sustainability thinking. So they act according to what SDG one, for example, yeah. So we're talking about how to integrate this value. Of course, you have uh, to integrate or to embed all these values, all these competency related to SDGs from the beginning of the year of students that step in the university. The first year as a students started to introduce what is SDG, raise their awareness, yeah, convince them that sustainability is real thing, SDG is real thing, as it's very important. So we said it's kind of brainwashed, but it's not really brainwashed, yeah. It's enlightening, yeah, for them to understand why we introduce SDG and sustainability in the program. So you have to make sure that the all the values that we embed from the first year is consistent and continuing until to the final year. So we like baking a cake, for example. Yeah, we have to take care of the cake from the we start put in the oven until we get it out. So like a student, so when we put them in the students, we must consistently, you know, talking about SDG, talking about sustainability, build the value, so then we can get attribute or value that you want at the end of the program. So I hope that answer that question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mahyuddin. I'm sorry, I don't think so that we have time. So it's already 5 o'clock, Dr. Mahyuddin. If I, okay, before we end the sessions, if I may read several comments, you actually have lots of compliment comments, Dr. Mahyuddin, for you. So majority of the audience mentions about, thank you very much, Dr. Mahyuddin, for
Thank you
today's
so
sharing.
much. Yeah,
It's a
I'm
really
kind of
good
nervous.
sharing. It's a really great sharing, actually. Yes. So thank you very much. And yes, on behalf of the organizer, so we also would like to thank you very much to all the audience. So for to be with us today with our two speaker, Dr. Mahyuddin Arsat. Okay, I think your tips, your sharings, okay, your experience sharing just now is very valuable to all of us, and I believe that today's audience, majority are from the educators, I believe, and all are actually eager and excited to promote our sustainable development goals. We would like to see our nations actually grow together and achieve the sustainable development. Cool. So thank you very much again, Dr. Mahyuddin Arsat.
Thank you
Okay,
so
so
much.
once again, so on behalf of the Center of Engineering Educations Malaysia, so the organizer, and also the Society of Engineering Educations Malaysia. So thank you very, very much to be with us, okay, for our first webinar sessions actually, organized by the CEE and SEEM. Okay, I think that's all for us. Okay, maybe a last few words from you, Dr. Mahyuddin, before we officially end the sessions. Maybe a few words that you would like to say. Last remark from you. I believe that everyone is also waiting your last remark before we end the session.
Um, I would like to say all the best to you guys, and don't be too ambitious integrating SDG. Go for the simple way. Just make one learning objective. Integrate one SDG in one learning objective. That's enough, I think, as the first step. So don't be too ambitious. Go for the simple way.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mahyuddin. So last reminder, gentle reminder to all our audience. So once again, I would like to remind that everybody please kind fill out the survey for this webinar for your e-certifications. So thank you very much. So see you in the next webinar.